No, folks, you're not dreaming. That is a new intro. Yes, new year, new introduction. Hope you all like it. Apparently, Fernie really does too. Now, my name is Eddie, and welcome to the Rollback. Today, I'll be talking about Superman, the Man of Tomorrow, in our bit of a superhero doubleheader kind of thing that we have going on here. So this movie technically came out in 2020, but we haven't talked about it yet, and honestly, it really is worth talking about. Anyone that's a fan of the Superman mythos knows that there's a bit of a, I don't want to say a divide, but a bit of a crutch when it comes to writing a Superman movie, which is, well, and not just a Superman movie, but any kind of Superman story, which is, how do you write it? How do you make a man that's bulletproof compelling? How do you make a being that is quite literally the ace of DC? How do you make him more meaningful? How do you write for him in such a way that you truly give a shit about him and you're worried, can he make it through this? Your ability to suspend your belief. And sure enough, they found a way. So, Man of Tomorrow is directed by Mr. Chris Palmer. Written by Tim Sheridan. However, there is some strong, I guess you could say, influences from a very great comic book series by the name of Superman American Alien. Who wrote that comic is not really that important. That being said, though, that comic is, and I'll be completely honest with you, my favorite Superman comic book series, period. Bear in mind, I'm not as hardcore of a Superman fan as some other people, but that comic series to me is his definitive version, American Alien. That particular comic book series, and I highly recommend you check it out, kind of explores Superman in a different way, There, it's kind of an open secret that Superman, that Clark is an alien, or at least he's superhuman in Smallville. It's a bit of an open secret that he can fly, that he's strong. The whole town kind of knows, but they all agreed to not really talk about it. And in that comic book series, his parents really push him to explore his powers, to learn about it. Not necessarily pushing him to become a hero, but more than anything else, pushing him to figure out who he is and, just being two very supportive parents. Now, somehow that comic book series geniusly translates into this film. Now, bear in mind, it's not shot for shot. It's not exactly the same. But there are very strong influences in this. Mainly with two villains, that being, well, I use the term villains loosely, but the use of two particular characters that I really enjoyed, Lobo and Parasite. Now, we're going to get to that in a minute. So the film opens with Clark Kent. He feels very isolated. He feels very, not a person. The film opens with this really crappy, old school black and white B movie, and these two kids are watching it, and one kid says, "God, what a freak, what an alien, who would ever want to be like that?" And Clark starts crying because he knows he is not of this world. Now, then we jump forward to a young Clark who's just an intern at the Daily Planet. He's going to LexCorp where they're having some kind of a show, to show off a new piece of technology. I believe it was a rocket. And sure enough, in fact, Lois Lane shows up, and she's already working at the Daily Planet. She's an ace reporter, and she pretty much buries Lex Luthor right off the bat with an expo, which is something jarring to see. Anyone who's been a fan of the DCAU, as far as, their animated series, their animated movies, Lex very rarely gets the drop put on him. But sure enough, Lois Lane is able to not only get the drop on him, but also get him thrown in jail. His rocket somehow is able to fly, but ends up damn near killing people when it crashes. Luckily, there's some young guy by the name of Superman who's able to save everyone. From there, we're able to get a bit of a new transition into the next phase of the film. We meet a man by the name of Lobo. Now, there's a lot of fans of Lobo, and I never really understood until I watched this movie. He's very much a trash-talking SOB. He's meant to be kind of the mirror of Wolverine. He was meant to be an answer to Wolverine. That's why DC created him. But sure enough, he's his own character. He's a bounty hunter from another planet who's famous for quite literally killing everyone on his home planet, which, as it turns out, is actually comic book accurate. So their fight goes back and forth. And again, it's shockingly compelling to see Superman go toe-to-toe with someone, and not necessarily that they're able to defeat him, but that it's actually a struggle. It's refreshing. I understand that we're dealing with a young, naive Clark, but also we're dealing with a young, naive Clark. It's not necessarily the worst thing, and I like that they use that element. He is able, though, to send Lobo packing, although Lobo if you know the comics, he can pretty much survive and come back from damn near anything. Now, this battle ends up ending at Star Labs. Now, at Star Labs, there's something I did forget to mention. Back at the very beginning, when Lois was kind of upending Lex Luthor, there was a guy by the name of Rudy. He was a janitor there at Star Labs. Him and Clark had a bit of an interaction, and Rudy comes off as very much a family-oriented guy, which I can appreciate, you know. They did a shockingly good job of making me care about him in only a few seconds, you know, him talking about his family and his kids. He's a relatable guy, which becomes very tragic when at the battle in Star Labs, he gets exposed to some kind of chemicals that turn him into the Parasite. Also, after that, we get a surprise appearance. Well, to me, at least, it was a surprise appearance. A Martian, the Martian, J'onn J'onzz. As it turns out, he's actually been living on Earth for a while. He is aware of Clark, but he's actually kind of surprised that Clark decided to reveal himself. J'onn J'onzz kind of keeps himself under wraps because he doesn't want to expose himself to humanity, not believing that, you know, they're ready. He decides to remain hidden due to their xenophobia. They do have kind of a bit of, not necessarily a battle, but Clark is surprised and undertaken by him. He is, however, able to give Clark one final gift. He's able to see his last few moments with his biological parents, Jor-El and Lara. Now, after Lobo is captured and he is held in Star Labs, Lois goes to speak with him. From there, Parasite ends up breaking in. He takes power from the electrical cell that Lobo is being kept in, and he's able to go on a rampage. From there, Superman tries to subdue him, take him down. He is unable to. He's not used to this. He just went toe-to-toe with a guy that could stand up to him. Now he's going toe-to-toe with a monster that can absorb his energy. Again, this is the way you write Superman. There aren't many people that can go toe-to-toe with him. So you make them compelling. And we give a shit that Rudy is this parasite. I feel bad for this humanity, for this monster that, quite frankly, has lost all of his humanity. Again, props to them for making me give a shit about this guy. From there, Superman takes him on. He's not able to hold him off. J'onn J'onzz ends up getting involved once he realizes that Superman can't hold off Parasite. But seemingly, Parasite is able to kill him by setting him on fire, which again, is comic book accurate, and I can appreciate it, DC. Thank you very much for doing that. Now, the Parasite does disappear, with leaving Superman a bit desperate. At that point, he's willing to go to Lex Luthor for help. Lex, to his credit, decides to help, not necessarily because he wants to escape or whatnot, but more or less, it'll look good to the parole board, but also he kind of sees it as an opportunity to take a stand and fight against a creature that, quite frankly, he deems lower than himself. And again, to go into a bit of the character of Lex Luthor, in the comics at the very least, he's very much humanity first, but also, you know, I get to rule the humanity. In this particular instance, again, he's willing to work with Superman if it's for a greater purpose, but the second that Parasite's down, you know, Supes, I am going to try to kill you again. And that becomes very apparent as we go. So, after that, a plan is set, and it's also revealed that Lobo is actually Lex's new partner. They lure Parasite out to a power plant away from the city. They fuel it with power just to try and get him to go after them. And sure enough, he takes the bait, but also, they can't fucking stop him. Lobo can't do anything and is seemingly killed. Superman is powerless. Lex, even using the kryptonite ring, is unable to do, quite frankly, jack shit. After a while, the military does arrive, but they only make things worse, as they typically do in superhero films. Parasite continues to get bigger, and he begins to go into the city. Superman is powerless to stop him, but he does talk to him. He's trying to talk Rudy down, and Rudy begins to remember his wife, his daughter. I believe his wife was pregnant as well. They were expecting their second child. And he begins to have this moment of humanity. And this angry crowd, which is just yelling and screaming out of off a bridge, is screaming at Parasite. And Superman even tells them to, quite frankly, fuck off. He explains, you know, while he is an alien, he grew up on Earth. He is a human to them. And this is one of the great things about Superman. If you want to write a good Superman story, you can't just write someone is he stronger than him? Can Superman overcome him physically? It's about the emotional part of it too. He needs to be human. He needs to speak to people and their emotions, which this film does a great job of doing. Again, props to them. Inevitably, though, the power plant does begin to... And then at that point, we get the inevitable double cross. Lex Luthor does fire a kryptonite weapon at Parasite and Superman, nearly killing them both, However, J'onn J'onzz is revealed to be alive. He stops Lex, but the power plant is beginning to overload. Parasite, attracted by that power, goes towards it and ends up disintegrating after absorbing all the energy. He ends up pulling pretty much a Voldemort just out into fairy dust. Obviously, Lex does go back to prison, I believe. And the film ends pretty quickly on top of the Daily Planet, where we see J'onn J'onzz, Lobo, and Martian Manhunter all kind of discussing themselves. Lobo reveals that there are other Martians out there, and possibly even other Kryptonians, thus leaving it open, to see will there be more films in this particular version of the franchise in the future. I don't want to make any assumptions, but seemingly this film could branch off into other films, maybe a Superman series, their own individual series, self-contained to some degree. Martian Manhunter does decide to go out into the stars to try and find more of his family, more Martians like him, while Superman does decide to stay on Earth to be its protector, its guardian. He ends up having one final interaction with Lois Lane, rescheduling an interview that they were supposed to have as a bit of a power move, which is one of their weird things that they've been doing, I suppose. But yeah, so the film goes to a rousing conclusion. Clark is in the background when Lois gets back down into the bottom of the Daily Planet, and end. Film was shockingly entertaining. Again, I don't have extremely high expectations for the animated films, but this film, again, very entertaining. Not just the story, though, but the animation was actually pretty crisp, and a lot crisper than other DC AU films. That's not to talk too much shit, but the fact of the matter is that when you're making an animated film and you're on a budget and you're on a very set time schedule, you need to allot more time to animating certain things than others. Not everything necessarily has to look crisp. This film, however, managed to get that balance perfectly, and props to them. The voice acting here was great. In particular, I really liked Darren Criss as Kal-El, or Clark Kent. I thought he was great. I thought Lex Luthor, properly so. J'onn J'onzz had the classic deep voice, while Ryan Hurst voiced Lobo, which maybe that's one reason why I liked him so much. His character, he was very, not flamboyant, but very outspoken. That said, I'd recommend this film to anyone that is a fan of Superman, and anyone that's a DC fan in general, or generally a good movie. It's the kind of film that kids can watch and very easily keep up with, but also any kind of comic book fan or any kind of adult can really sink their teeth into enjoy. I'd give this film a solid B-, C+. Great animation, great action sequences, and incredible use of a villain that has not been seen on the big screen yet, which I hope will be. I think a Parasite versus Henry Cavill's Superman could be great in the DCU. We have yet to see if they'll ever do it, but we'll see. So, that said, if you like this, please do me a favor. Like, subscribe. We'd greatly appreciate it. If you're watching us on YouTube, again, like and subscribe. We're trying to grow the channel. We're trying to grow this podcast in general. And, just for the record, thank you all for all of your support. If you want to check out any more of our thoughts on movies, you can go to therollback.net. I've been Eddie, and this was The Rollback.